Well, welcome, y'all. Have you ever had the thought that maybe this is as far as we're going to go? And why do I say this? I do realize that we certainly will still evolve, but I think it's much smaller increments. In the dawn of complex technology in the past several decades, we continue to make advancements in medicine, law, science, and humanitarian efforts. However, it also seems that every step forward we take involves increased laws, surveillance, scrutiny, and complexity, which of course requires expanded investigation, research, and laws. However, this is our world. And lastly, the one aspect that disturbs me in particular is our government, which has to handle not only the rest of the world, but has to deal with the Republican Party, which is synonymous with handling a toddler or an unhinged, delusional faction of psychopaths and liars. And somehow I hope that they come around and deal with this reality. So I'm sitting down with my wife recently, and she asked me, "What would you like to do?" And I say, "I was thinking of having some soup or sex." And she hesitates for a moment and says, "I'll have the soup." Our next four quotes are from Frank Zappa. "The United States is a nation of laws badly written and randomly enforced. And now, if your children ever found out how lame you really are, they'll murder you in your sleep." Well, that's comforting. Without music to decorate it, time is just a bunch of boring production deadlines or dates by which bills must be paid. And I'm not black, but there's a whole lot of time I wish I could say that I'm not white. And that ends it for Frank Zappa. I bought some batteries, but they weren't included, so I had to buy them again. Stephen Wright. And if I wanted one of these, I would have bought one. And that's Minnesota Fat's response to receiving a billiards championship trophy. That's clever, too. My advice to you is to start drinking heavily. That's Bluto's comment from Animal House. Such a great movie. And Woody asks a woman in a museum, "What are you doing on Saturday night?" And the woman replies, "Committing suicide." And Woody then asks, "What about Friday night?" There's one thing that men and women have in common. They both enjoy the company of men. And that's anonymous. So somebody's hiding there, most likely a man. And I volunteer at our senior center. And since I'm only there for a couple of hours on Thursday, the folks that work there are always whispering about conflicts with staff and such. And I have to be honest, folks, even the women say to everyone and even me, and it's one word, women, "You better fasten your seatbelts." And I've stated this before, women are taking over and we'll see what happens. So stay tuned. And I always notice that men are glad to step back and say, "Good luck. It's messy out there." And remember, things are not always what they seem. Life is a paradox. And once again, I have to offer up the tiring phrase, "Good luck. You will most likely need it." And I siphoned some of the topic from TCM, Turner Classic Movie Series, The Power of Film, a six-part series created by Howard Suber. And just why do we love the movie so much? And what is it about the medium which creates the effect it has on many of us? And why do certain films resonate with people as much as they do? And why do certain films appeal to audiences both upon their initial releases and for generations afterwards? And why do people continue to rewatch certain films over and over, as I do? These are the big questions explored by the esteemed UCLA film professor in his landmark book, The Power of Film, published in 2006. In an academic career spanning more than 50 years, Suber's teachings have helped pave the way to make film studies more than just a teaching of filmmaking techniques. Instead, they explore film as an art form from a historical and critical aspect. It's a very good series. And don't interrupt a person who has been silent for a rather long pause. Silence can speak volumes. They are thinking something through which has relevance to them and trying to shine light on the matter. And this is one of my quotes. Or that was one of my quotes. "I guess that's the earliest I've ever been late." Only Yogi Berra would come up with that one. I'll just say that again. "I guess that's the earliest I've ever been late." And there are no such things as rights, only privileges. We made the word rights up. That's George Carlin. "Boredom will always remain the greatest enemy of education and school disciplines." That's from Fritz Rettel. Intelligence appears to be the thing that enables a man to get along without education. Education appears to be the thing that enables a man to get along without the use of his intelligence. That's from Albert Wiggum. "You can always count on an American to do the right things after they've tried everything else." Winston Churchill. "And I consider sex a misdemeanor. The more I miss, the meaner I get." That's classic from Mae West. I think there's something wrong with the steering in my car. Every time I go past the bar, I turn into the parking lot. And that's an unknown author, though I think this happens a lot more to men. And we live for the memories we leave in each other. That's Christopher Morley, and to me, this is one of the all-time great classic quotes. We live for the memories we leave in each other. Today's public figures can no longer write their own speeches or books, and there is some evidence that they can't read them either. That's from Gore Vidal. And anyone who sees through a woman is missing a lot. Groucho Marx. In America, anyone can become president. That's the problem. That's Gore Vidal. One looks back with appreciation to the brilliant teachers, but with gratitude to those who touched our feelings. The curriculum is so much necessary raw material, but the warmth is the vital element for the growing plant and soul of the child. And that's Carl Jung. And I dedicate this to our friend, or my friend, Mary Ellen. In seeking wisdom, we are wise. In imagining that we have attained it, we are a fool. And that's from Rabbi Ben-Azai. And sometimes I wonder if men and women really suit each other. Perhaps they should live next door and just visit every now and then. That's Katharine Hepburn, and I agree. Juries scare me. I don't want to put my faith in 12 people who weren't smart enough to get out of jury duty. That's from Monica Piper. If the black box flight recorder is never damaged during a plane crash, then why isn't the whole airplane made out of that stuff? That's a good question from George Carlin. You want to find the truth in life? Don't pass music by. And that's from Eric Burden, the musician. And by and large, language is a tool for concealing the truth. That's George Carlin. The other night, I ate at a nice family restaurant. Every table had an argument going. That's George Carlin. And I don't know where we come from, don't know where we're going to, but if all this should have a reason, we would be the last to know. And that's from the song Rock Me by Steppenwolf. I hate to advocate sex, drugs, alcohol, violence, or insanity to everyone, but they always work for me. That's Hunter S. Thompson. Only he would say that. Hunter S. Thompson. In order to be interesting, you first must be interested. And that's unknown, so maybe I'll take credit for this one. And this is a classic from Betty Davis. Aging ain't for sissies. Be careful what you pretend to be, because you are what you pretend to be. Kurt Vonnegut. And kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. That's from Mark Twain. Man number one says, so what's your point? And man number two replies, whoever said that everything has to have a point? And that's anonymous, so I'll take credit for that one too. And plan to be spontaneous tomorrow, Stephen Wright. And lastly, I think I am, therefore I am, I think. And that's from George Carlin, and I'm out.